The pink room was more than just a bedroom. It was a sanctuary of shared secrets, whispered dreams, and unspoken fears. Its walls were adorned with butterfly decals that caught the sunlight streaming through lace curtains, casting dancing shadows on the carpeted floor. For Morgan, it represented safety, a place where she and Amber could retreat from the world, cocooned in each other's presence. As children, they had been inseparable. Their matching outfits, carefully selected by Mom, were a testament to their closeness. Birthdays were celebrated with joint parties, sandcastles built side by side at River Beach, and bedtime rituals that included recounting the day's adventures. Yet even then, cracks began to form beneath the surface. One summer evening, when Morgan was 7 and Amber 12, they sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through a photo album. "Look at us," Amber said, pointing to a picture of them. "In matching sundresses, we're perfect." Morgan nodded eagerly, basking in her sister's approval. Yet, later that night, as Morgan drifted off to sleep, she heard Amber whispering into her pillow, "Why does everyone think we're so alike?" That question lingered in Morgan's mind long after the moment passed. It wasn't until years later that she understood its significance. A seed of discontent planted in Amber's heart, nurtured by comparisons and expectations. Their shared bedroom became a battleground of subtle tensions as they grew older. While Morgan meticulously arranged her school books and art supplies, Amber's side was cluttered with makeup kits and fashion magazines. One night, during a rare argument over space, Amber snapped, "You act like everything has to be perfect, like you're better than me." Morgan froze, stunned by the accusation. She hadn't realized her efforts to stay organized could be perceived as criticism. These moments, small but significant, laid the groundwork for the fractures to come. The pink room, once a symbol of unity, became a microcosm of their evolving relationship. To sisters growing apart, despite sharing the same space, Morgan idolized Amber, eager to emulate her confidence and charisma. In elementary school, she followed her sister around like a shadow, mimicking her mannerisms and seeking her approval. But as they entered adolescence, Morgan began noticing subtle signs of resentment. Amber thrived socially, excelling in cheerleading and student council, while Morgan found solace in creative pursuits like photography and writing. At family gatherings, Mom would gush about Amber's accomplishments. "She's captain of the squad," while barely acknowledging Morgan's achievements. When Morgan proudly showed off her latest photography project, Mom dismissed it with, "A distracted? That's nice, sweetie." Before turning back to her phone, the disparity between their treatment became glaringly obvious. Perfect report cards earned Morgan little more than a cursory glance, while Amber's mediocre grades were celebrated as triumphs of effort. "Amber tries so hard with everything stacked against her," Mom would say, as if Amber were overcoming some great adversity rather than simply neglecting her studies. Instances of undermining grew more frequent. During a middle school talent show, Morgan performed a heartfelt poem she'd written about friendship. As she stepped off stage, glowing from applause, Amber leaned over and whispered, "Cute poem. Maybe next time write something people actually care about." The comment stung, leaving Morgan questioning whether her voice mattered at all. Despite these moments, Morgan clung to hope that their bond would endure. She continued trying to connect with Amber, inviting her to collaborate on projects or watch movies together. Sometimes Amber obliged, allowing fleeting glimpses of the sister Morgan remembered. But those moments grew increasingly rare, replaced by sarcasm and thinly veiled hostility. By high school, the dynamic had shifted entirely. Amber thrived in social hierarchies, while Morgan retreated into her camera lens, capturing fragments of a world she felt disconnected from. The seeds of jealousy sown in childhood blossomed into something darker, setting the stage for inevitable conflict. The parents' divorce shattered the fragile equilibrium of their household. Morgan was 10, Amber was 12. Dad gathered them in the living room, his voice steady but eyes red-rimmed. "Your mom and I have decided to live apart," he announced. While Morgan burst into tears, Amber bolted to her room, slamming the door so hard a family photo fell off the wall. The glass cracked, a metaphor for what lay ahead. Amber transformed overnight. Her warmth toward Morgan cooled into something harder, sharper. She blamed Dad for leaving, though Morgan later learned he had caught Mom having an affair. When Dad moved into an apartment 20 minutes away, Amber refused to visit him. Morgan still went for weekend stays, widening the rift between them. Dad's weekends became a lifeline for Morgan. They baked cookies, played board games, and talked about school. On one such visit, Morgan confided, "I don't think Amber likes me anymore." Dad sighed, running a hand through his hair. "She's hurting, sweetheart. Don't take it personally." Meanwhile, Mom relaxed all rules for Amber, who began staying out late. experimenting with alcohol, and dating boys with questionable reputations. Morgan lived under a microscope, subject to strict curfews and relentless questioning. Amber needs more freedom, Mom explained. You're the responsible one despite everything. The double standard fueled resentment. Morgan made attempts to reconnect with Amber, knocking on her bedroom door to offer help with homework or suggest movie nights. Sometimes Amber let her in, and for brief moments, Morgan glimpsed the sister she once knew. But those moments grew rarer, replaced by sneers and accusations. When Morgan was 16, Mom remarried, further complicating family dynamics. Stepdad brought financial stability, but also tension. Amber resented his presence, lashing out at Morgan as if she were complicit in the changes. The fracture deepened, irreparable scars forming beneath the surface. High school intensified the divide between Morgan and Amber. Amber thrived socially, surrounded by friends who admired her confidence and charm. Morgan, meanwhile, found her niche in creative pursuits. Joining the photography club and contributing to the school newspaper, her work earned recognition, but Amber dismissed it as trivial. She thinks she's so special, Amber muttered. During one dinner conversation, just because someone takes pictures doesn't mean they're talented. Morgan bit her tongue, refusing to engage. She knew arguing would only escalate the situation. Tension reached a boiling point when Jason Garcia invited Morgan to junior prom. Smart, kind, and popular. Jason seemed like the perfect date. But Amber reacted with fury. You can't go with him, she hissed. He's friends with my boyfriend. Do you have any idea how awkward that will be? It's not about you, Morgan replied, struggling to keep her voice steady. Jason asked me. I said yes. That's it. Amber retaliated by spreading rumors that Morgan was fake and trying too hard to be popular. Classmates whispered behind Morgan's back, forcing her to confront the painful reality of her sister's jealousy. What had once been subtle undermining escalated into deliberate sabotage. Despite the challenges, Morgan persevered. Her photography teacher encouraged her to submit work to competitions, sparking a newfound sense of purpose. Winning first place at a regional contest validated her talent, though Amber dismissed it as luck. The rivalry simmered beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to erupt. When the family moved across town, Morgan seized the opportunity to reinvent herself. Free from the shadow of Amber's influence, she joined new clubs and formed friendships based on shared interests rather than familial obligation. For the first time, she felt free to explore her identity without fear of comparison. Amber struggled to adapt, resenting the change and blaming Morgan for disrupting her social circle. You're always ruining everything, she accused during one heated argument. Why do you have to make this about you? I didn't ask to move, Morgan shot back. But maybe it's time you stop treating me like your enemy. The move deepened Amber's jealousy, fueling resentment that would follow them into adulthood. Despite the distance, the toxic dynamic persisted, setting the stage for future conflict. Singing University, far from home, marked Morgan's attempt to escape Amber's shadow. Excited to embark on a fresh start, she enrolled in a prestigious art program. However, Amber followed her there, reigniting old tensions. On Mauvin Day, Amber made it clear that Morgan shouldn't expect her help navigating campus or introducing her to people. We run in different circles, she informed Morgan coolly. Don't embarrass me. Morgan tried to maintain boundaries, focusing on her studies and building a new support system. But Amber's presence loomed large, her jealousy manifesting in passive-aggressive comments and outright hostility. The stage was set for tragedy. The locker room smelled faintly of chlorine and disinfectant, a sterile scent meant to evoke cleanliness, but instead evoked dread. Morgan stood before the mirror, adjusting her hair after practice. She hadn't noticed him in or not until his reflection appeared behind hers. Too close, too menacing. Hey, Morgan, Tyler said, his voice deceptively casual. Before she could respond, his hands gripped her shoulders, spinning her around. His eyes were cold, devoid of emotion. Amber says you need to learn your place. Panic surged through her veins as he yanked her backward. The sound of shattering glass echoed as her head connected with the mirror. Pain exploded across her face, blinding and all-consuming. Blood dripped onto the tiled floor, pooling around her feet. She fought back instinctively, driving her elbow into his ribs. But the damage was already done. Hours later, lying in a hospital bed, Morgan stared at the ceiling, trying to process what had happened. Her left eye was bandaged, her jaw wired. Doctors listed her injuries clinically. Multiple orbital fractures, broken nose, shattered zygomatic arch, facial lacerations requiring over 60 stitches, detached retina. Each word felt like another blow. compounding the physical pain with emotional devastation. The investigation into the locker room attack revealed layers of deception and manipulation that shocked even those closest to Amber. Text messages recovered from Tyler's phone painted a chilling picture. Amber had not only encouraged his aggression, but actively orchestrated it. She framed Morgan as a threat to their relationship, someone who needed to be handled. Witness statements corroborated this narrative. Students recounted overhearing Amber complain about Morgan's achievements and hint at retaliation. When confronted with the evidence, Amber denied involvement vehemently. "I didn't tell him to hurt her," she insisted during one heated family meeting. "He got jealous because he thought Morgan was flirting with him." Her explanation lacked credibility, especially when investigators uncovered texts where Amber explicitly instructed Tyler on how to intimidate Morgan. One message read, "Make sure she knows what happens when she crosses us." Mom defended Amber instinctively, clinging to the belief that her daughter couldn't possibly orchestrate such cruelty. "She's just a kid," Mom argued tearfully. "She made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve to have her life ruined over this." Dad, however, remained resolute. "This isn't a mistake," he said firmly. "It's a calculated campaign of harm." Family dynamics crumbled under the weight of betrayal. Mom oscillated between defending Amber and grappling with guilt for enabling her toxic behavior. Dad struggled to balance supporting Morgan while managing his anger toward Amber. Brandon, usually the peacemaker, found himself torn between loyalty to both sisters. Meanwhile, Kimberly retreated into silence, unable to reconcile the sister she idolized with the person revealed by the investigation. For Morgan, the unraveling truths brought mixed emotions, validation for her suspicions, but also profound sadness. She realized that Amber's jealousy wasn't just about competition, it stemmed from deeper insecurities rooted in years of perceived favoritism and neglect. Yet understanding didn't equate to forgiveness. As the legal proceedings advanced, Morgan focused on holding both Amber and Tyler accountable not out of vengeance, but as a means of reclaiming agency over her shattered life. The courtroom drama unfolded like a Greek tragedy, exposing raw wounds and forcing everyone to confront uncomfortable truths. Morgan sat stoically beside her lawyer, flanked by Dad and Brandon. As witnesses testified about the months of escalating harassment leading up to the attack, Professor Larson described how Morgan's photography assignments disappeared mysteriously from campus printers and how someone tampered with her student account. Classmates recounted instances of sabotage, dropped classes, vandalized projects, all designed to destabilize her academic career. Tyler's testimony attempted to downplay his role, portraying himself as a lovesick teenager acting impulsively. "I thought I was protecting Amber," he claimed. "Morgan kept interfering in our relationship." His words elicited gasps from the gallery, particularly when Amber nodded subtly in agreement. But cross-examination dismantled his defense, revealing text messages where Amber directed every move. "Did you ever consider stopping?" the prosecutor asked pointedly. Tyler hesitated before admitting, "No, I wanted to impress her." Amber took the stand reluctantly, her composure crumbling under scrutiny. When asked why she framed Morgan as a threat, she broke down, confessing, "I felt like she was taking everything away from me, my friends, my reputation, even my boyfriend. I just wanted her to stop being perfect all the time." Her admission highlighted the destructive power of unchecked jealousy, a poison that damaged everyone it touched. Throughout the trial, Morgan maintained focus, channeling her pain into advocacy. During closing arguments, her lawyer emphasized the premeditated nature of the attack and its lifelong consequences. "This was not an isolated incident of violence," he declared. "It was the culmination of a systematic campaign of intimidation, sabotage, and threats. Justice demands accountability." As the jury deliberated, tension filled the courtroom. When the verdict came guilty on all counts, the relief was palpable. Tyler received a 5-year prison sentence, while Amber faced probation and mandatory counseling. Though justice had been served, Morgan knew healing would take far longer. Recovery was neither linear nor predictable. Morgan underwent multiple surgeries to reconstruct her face, enduring months of physical therapy to regain basic functions like eating and speaking. Titanium plates permanently held her facial bones together, a constant reminder of the attack. Nerve damage left parts of her face numb, while scar tissue altered her appearance forever. Yet these visible scars paled compared to the psychological wounds. Therapy became a lifeline, providing tools to process trauma and rebuild self-worth. Through sessions, Morgan explored themes of identity, resilience, and forgiveness. "You are more than what happened to you," her therapist reminded her repeatedly. "Your scars tell a story of survival, not victimhood." Art played a crucial role in her healing journey. Photography allowed Morgan to externalize internal struggles, transforming pain into beauty. Her first post-attack project, titled Fragments, captured broken objects, shattered glass, cracked mirrors, torn fabric imagined through creative compositions. Each image symbolized hope amidst destruction, resilience amid ruin. Support groups introduced Morgan to others navigating similar paths. She connected deeply with survivors whose stories echoed aspects of her own betrayal. Physical trauma, the long road to recovery. Together, they formed a community bound by shared experiences, offering strength when individual battles felt overwhelming. For the first time since the attack, Morgan felt less alone. Inspired by her therapeutic work, Morgan embarked on a new photography project. Reconstructed, this series documented not only her recovery, but also the journeys of other survivors. With permission, she photographed their scars, both visible and metaphorical, capturing moments of triumph despite adversity. A domestic violence survivor posed at her piano, healed wrist fractures, testament to resilience. An assault victim stood outside his home, marking his first steps back into public spaces after months of isolation. Reconstructed, gained attention. Beyond personal healing, resonating with audiences globally, local galleries invited Morgan to exhibit her work, culminating in a solo show titled Faces of Survival. The opening night drew a diverse crowd. Fellow survivors, art enthusiasts, all moved by the raw honesty of her images. Each portrait series included 3 components: visible damage, healing process, and present strength. Accompanying text read, "Healing is not the absence of damage, but the presence of growth around the wounds." Through her lens, Morgan redefined resilience, proving that scars could become sources of empowerment rather than shame. Her work took her to communities recovering from natural disasters, documenting stories of perseverance in the face of tremendous loss. These experiences reinforced her belief in humanity's capacity for renewal. A lesson she understood intimately. Forgiveness remained complex, evolving rather than static. Morgan grappled with reconciling her desire for closure with the reality of Amber's actions. Therapy helped clarify misconceptions that forgiveness didn't mean absolution or reconciliation, but freedom from bitterness. "It's about letting go of hatred so it doesn't consume you," her therapist explained. One pivotal moment occurred when Morgan revisited Amber's letter, written shortly after sentencing. In it, Amber expressed remorse but stopped short of taking full responsibility. Reading it again stirred conflicting emotions: anger at the lack of accountability, yet recognition of genuine regret. Placing the letter in a box with other mementos, Morgan acknowledged progress without rushing. Resolution. She explored forgiveness through interactions with others. A former classmate, once complicit in spreading rumors, reached out to apologize. Their conversation revealed mutual growth, transforming past animosity into tentative understanding. Such moments reinforced Morgan's belief in redemption's possibility if it eluded her relationship with Amber. Ultimately, forgiveness became less about Amber and more about Morgan herself. By releasing hatred, she reclaimed space within her heart for joy, creativity, and connection. It wasn't easy, nor complete, but it marked a significant step forward. Standing in her new apartment, Morgan prepared to leave behind remnants of her old life. Boxers lined the walls, containing memories both painful and hopeful. Among them lay Amber's Latora, tangible link to unresolved complexities. Rather than discarding it, Morgan chose preservation. Recognizing its place in her journey, she hung a photograph near the door, capturing her profile against a sunrise. Visible scars traced her face, no longer defining features but markers of resilience. The accompanying caption read, "Growth around the wounds." This image encapsulated her transformation from victim to survivor, from brokenness to wholeness. Packing final items, Morgan reflected on lessons learned. Family wasn't defined solely by blood, but by actions, care, and mutual respect. Betrayal taught her the importance of boundaries. Recovery revealed her capacity for strength. Though scars remained, they no longer dictated her future. Morgan shared her experiences publicly, inspiring others navigating similar challenges. Speaking engagements, interviews, and social media posts amplified her message. Healing is possible. Though non-linear, readers responded with their own stories. Betrayed, friendships fractured, lives disrupted by violence. Each narrative underscored universal truths about resilience and redemption. Her impact extended beyond individual connections. Advocacy organizations adopted her work, using Reconstructed to raise awareness about domestic violence and survivor support. Schools incorporated her story into anti-bullying curricula, emphasizing accountability and empathy. Through sharing, Morgan transformed private pain into public purpose. A year later, Morgan stood on a balcony overlooking the city skyline. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Behind her, boxers awaited, unpacking symbols of a fresh start. She smiled softly, feeling lighter than she had in years. Her journal entry captured newfound clarity. Today marks a new chapter. The past will always be part of me, the titanium in my bones. The scars visible and invisible, but it no longer dictates my future. I've learned that family is defined by actions, not bloodlines. Jealousy unchecked becomes poison, damaging everyone it touches. Most importantly, I've discovered my own capacity for resilience. Amber and Tyler tried to silence me, diminish me, make me disappear. Instead, they forced me to find a voice and strength I never knew I possessed. As she closed the journal, Morgan embraced uncertainty, ready to face whatever lay ahead one step at a time.